The Italian government today announced new search and arrest laws for that country, and they beefed up the police force to battle the Mafia. But it wasn't nearly enough to calm public outrage. More tonight from NBC's Arthur Kent in Palermo.
Police tried to prevent angry crowds from reaching the church, but they were all but overwhelmed by the tide of emotion. The citizens of Palermo had come to the funerals of the 5 bodyguards killed with Judge Borsellino, both to mourn and to protest. Assassins, people jeered at Italy's politicians, ridiculing them for their inability to prevent Sunday's bombing and the wave of mafia violence most here expect to continue. This is becoming ritual here in Sicily, an outpouring of grief, then an explosion of public anger, and always directed at the Italian state, the authorities, who are blamed for losing the war with the Mafia. Inside the cathedral, Italy's president and prime minister were jostled by relatives and colleagues of the slain policemen. Nationwide, at places like Milan Stock Exchange, Italians showed their anxiety and respect for the dead by halting trading for 10 minutes. Traffic came to a standstill too, even at Rome's busiest intersection. But in Palermo, Sicilians were left to shower the coffins of the victims of the Mafia with honor and with their tears. There is no effective response to the killings in sight. No way to turn outrage for the deaths of 5 more murdered policemen into action to crack down on the crime families of southern Italy. Arthur Kent, NBC News, Palermo.
On America Close Up tonight, Mafia wars, an urgent appeal from Italy and France today, stop the mob spread in Europe. The FBI from this country has joined Italy's crackdown amidst reports that American mobs now are recruiting from Sicily. Just before his assassination, a top Italian judge said he was investigating ongoing illegal immigration of mafioso to America. NBC's Arthur Kent tonight begins his report in Sicily.
It could be an island paradise, if not for fear and violence and death. The killing in Sicily is the byproduct of drug, extortion, and racketeering businesses that generate more than $120 billion a year. The criminals that control this trade are sometimes arrested, but never defeated, and rarely challenged. Until now. Public outrage at the assassinations of Italy's 2 top crime fighters and their bodyguards has mobilized a show of force. An invading army, soldiers, and police from the mainland are trying to regain the island, helped by a squad from the FBI. But so far, it is just a show. Sicilian crime bosses are still on the loose. Men like Toto Riina, wanted on 150 counts of murder. And authorities are still frustrated.
We know that there are 500 families. Look, we know everything about them. How they paralyze the state, how they kill people. We know in every details how they are organized.
But critics say political leaders are corrupt and take no action.
We have in one side the mafia, in the other side we have the state, but inside the state there are many persons who are friends, who are connected with the mafia interest.
Leoluca Orlando is campaigning to change that. He led Sicily's anti-mafia party to big gains in elections this year. But his blunt talk has placed him at the top of the mafia's hit list.
I wish to say to the persons who wish to kill me, you are arriving too late. Even if you will kill me, you will not stop the wish of changement of Italian people.
Especially in Sicily, that wish to purge gangsters and corrupt politicians is becoming a demand. An anti-mafia protester calls former Prime Minister Andreotti a mobster. You're going too far, says this man, and the public's frustration with organized crime boils over. Officials try to stress victories, like the trial now underway in Washington, D.C., where alleged mafiosi have been linked by U.S. and Italian police in a Colombian coke smuggling plot. But the case has been overshadowed by the killings of Judges Falcone and Borsellino. In the streets of Palermo, some other men do what they can. Father Paolo Torturo encourages children to turn in guns from home, some toys, some very real.
Only by taking the kids off the streets are we getting rid of the workforce of the Mafia, the future killers.
Many Italians now realize that resistance to the crime families has to start in their own communities, not here in Rome with their disgraced government, but with hitmen killing virtually at will. Resisting the Mafia now appears more difficult and dangerous than ever before. Arthur Kent, NBC News, Rome.
Tomorrow night, Arthur Kent will take us to a small town in Sicily, which has begun to fight the mob on its own terms. France's Justice Minister today was pitching for early ratification of the European Unity Treaty. Police cooperation, he said, that's the only way to keep the Mafia out of Europe. Recent mob murders in Italy have raised new fears. In Sicily itself, some villages now are beginning to fight back. NBC's Arthur Kent has visited one of those towns on the northern coast.
Their homeland is known as a fortress of crime, but it's estimated that fewer than 1% of the people of Sicily are mafiosi. Honest, productive lives are what most Sicilians yearn for, and what many people in this town, Sant'Agata de Militello, are risking their lives for.
It started, and we have to break it right away.
American-born shop owner Josephine Zuccarello is talking about extortion.
You have to break it right away. That's why my son came in.
Her son Gaetano leads Sant'Agata's anti-racket association, citizens who have refused to pay protection money to their regional crime family.
When our association was born, the people got courageous, and they joined.
Then the mafiosi struck back. Arson. Calogero Cordici's hardware store was put to the torch.
I think they put my store on fire to warn other businesses.
But even more store owners joined the Anti-Mafia Association. They helped Signor Cordici rebuild his hardware store, and they took legal action against the family that was preying upon them.
I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid.
With that kind of courage, the people of Sant'Agata not only brought the Marotta family to court, their testimony sent some of the mafiosi to jail. Builder Carlo Guglielmotta says he's proud to have helped put the extortionists behind bars, even though he lost his truck to arsonists.
If I begin paying now, my children are condemned. Therefore I rebel not only for myself, but also for them.
The people took that spirit of rebellion to Palermo, Sicily's capital, to march in an anti-mafia rally, where murdered Judge Giovanni Falcone was remembered. But only 2 weeks later, the crime family struck back, assassinating Falcone's colleague, Judge Borsellino. Today, some people in Sant'Agata admit they're still afraid of mafia vengeance.
Because they will kill us. They want money. They want other things.
Others try to ignore the families.
Here, we are honest workers. We see the mafia. It doesn't interest us.
Gaetano, however, has to be interested.
This morning, one of your friends was threatened. Openly. What now?
The reaction could be more serious, because the relatives who are out of jail could do something rash.
Despite that, Gaetano and his association are becoming more vocal, more active in the cause of resistance.
Even though they are killing judges in Palermo, they are active and violent elsewhere. You are going to stand up to organized crime here.
You have to do it. What do you want to do? Say you don't know anything? You have to keep on going.
Do you think you can beat them?
Maybe. It's going to be a long, long trip.
Arthur Kent, NBC News, Sant'Agata, Sicily.